Good morning, I'm Mai Rodrigues, and this is Pathways to Success, a program dedicated to micro, small, and medium enterprises here on the Billionario News Channel. Our guest today is one of the Philippines' premier fashion designers, known for his couture gowns. In his more than 2 decades in the business, his brand has been labeled as the gold standard in terms of intricacy, design, and comfort. The accomplished designer gains yet another feather on his cap as our Philippine athletes march during the opening ceremonies of the Paris 2024 Olympics, wearing his Sinag barongs. We are honored to have on the show Mr. Francis Libiran. Francis, you are an inspiration to many young fashion designers. And just last year, you celebrated 25 years in fashion. So let's go through the highlights of your career. In your 25 years, you were not just doing gowns, right? So you've also designed uniforms and barongs for our athletes who competed in the last 3 Southeast Asian Games. And now you created the Olympic barong for our Filipino athletes in the 2024 Paris Olympics. So this is the design of your Sinag barong. So how is the Sinag barong different? Tell us your inspiration behind it.
I guess my inspiration behind the Sinag barong is I want our athletes to be well presented during the Olympic Games in the parade. So I created something that I wanted to be very iconic. So I made use of our traditional barong Tagalog. So barong Tagalogs, when you see it from afar, it looks like a beige shirt. So the concept here is I wanted to create an armor-like detail across the chest of the one who's wearing it, and it depicts the pintados sun rays, the one that's in the embroidery of the yellow design. So for me, I use pintados because it's a sign of bravery, going to battle, and that's how I want our athletes to think. And of course, the colors of our flags, which is very vivid from afar, the blue and the red. I want it to be very visibly Filipino when they're doing that parade in the River Seine.
And the sun's rays.
Yes.
It looks like they're carrying the Philippine flag.
Exactly, and I want it to be close to their hearts. And it's like, for them, I want them to think that they're going on a battle. So that's how I want our athletes to think while wearing the barong.
Well, it will certainly embolden them and prepare them for battle. We will wish our athletes the best of luck in the Olympics. And let's talk about a recent big event as well, the SONA. So you recently dressed up lawmakers for the 2024 State of the Nation address of President Marcos. What was the most challenging part of producing different outfits? How many dresses did you design for that event alone?
I think we designed around 20 plus.
20 plus.
Yeah.
So what was the most challenging there?
You know what?
Of course, different. They're big personalities as well, and they wanted this design, and the other one wanted different, to stand out maybe.
Each and every politician that I dressed up is unique in their own way. One in particular is Congresswoman Shirley Tambut. She's from Mindanao. She wanted to present her region. So I designed something that's really Tausug inspired. So it's not your usual terno. So I need to research on each and every aspect of that cloth, that gown that she wore. So everyone is unique in itself because they want to represent their own province. Like a barong, I put some patterns closer to that province. So I guess it's very challenging in such a way, but it's fun to do because you get to collaborate with the politicians.
And I can imagine each and every one of them wanted, their heritage to be part of the element in their
what they're wearing.
Filipiniana,
So it's for me, that's where my creativity starts. Talking to them, sitting down with them, and collaborating with them.
So you've done a lot of traditional designs as well. Tell us about the Batawi collection.
The Batawi is worn by Congresswoman Shirley Tambut from Mindanao. So again, I made something traditional for her to wear, but at the same time, not losing the elements of the Batawi wear. You know, the gold buttons around the top part of the outfit, and that draping in front of her, and the traditional sawalwal. It's like a palazzo pants. So I need to have that elements on her at the same time, modernizing it in such a way.
Yeah, the palazzo,
Yeah.
right? All right. So, well, I want to talk about your most favorite designs that you've created over the years. You've consistently represented the country in the global scene with the Hello Kitty couture collection in America's Top Model,
Yeah.
and in Toronto, Canada's first ever Philippine Fashion Week, and of course the Sakura collection in Tokyo. What were your most memorable experiences in these events?
You know, each and every one is memorable for me because it gave me a chance to really concentrate and be creative in each and every collection that I do. So I just observed that as I get older, when doing this one, it becomes very meaningful for me. You know, it's so different when I was starting a collection the first time and to what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm more intense. I guess it comes with maturity. You get to be more concentrated on what you're doing. You want to be sure of the results of the output of what you're doing.
25 years in the business, you're already a legend.
Oh my gosh, I feel
You should
old.
have a museum with all your collections in them, right?
Yeah.
Because you've designed so many and presented in the global stage as well. But okay, aside from your participation in the Tokyo event and the Sakura collection you've presented, America's Top Model. So aside from those, what other accomplishments are you most proud of?
Every year we get invited to the Harbin Fashion Week. So it's in Harbin, China. So it's one of the most prestigious Fashion Week events in the region. You know, we're catering to the Chinese market. And it's like an ice festival that it's being held every January, first week of January. It's the height of winter.
Winter.
Yeah, so from around the world, I guess around 75 countries participating. And I feel so proud every time I carry the flag with me of the Philippines in those events. You know, showcasing the talents of the Filipinos.
Of course. Well, from all the international clients, who are your most popular?
One is Tyra Banks. You know, I guess when I guested in America's Next Top Model, it opened a lot of doors for me. You know, after that, I remember after showing that that episode, a lot of stylists from LA and celebrities from there kept on calling us. You know, if I could dress up this particular actress in the red carpet event. So it really opened up a lot of doors for me.
It all started from there.
Yeah.
Okay, take us back to the very beginning. You're a licensed architect,
Yeah.
right? You graduated from the University of Santo Tomas. How did you end up as a fashion designer?
First, my dad wanted me to be in the medical field.
Oh.
Because all my siblings are in either doctors, nurses, and I told him that, sorry Dad, I don't like being a physical therapist or in the medical field. And that time, I was afraid to tell him that I wanted to be a designer. So the closest course to being a designer is architecture because it involves creativity and design. So I really fought for that one, and I told my dad that, don't worry, I'll finish it on time. But my deal was, after me finishing architecture, I would want to do my own thing. So I gave him that promise. But after graduation, I worked for 2 years in an architectural firm. I just tried it, you know, since it's the course that I studied for 5 years. So
You were a draftsman?
I was a draftsman. That's how you that's the first step of being an
Yeah.
architect. So I worked for 2 years in an architectural firm in Makati, and then just one day, I just said to myself, you know what, this is not for me. I draft my resignation letter and gave it to my boss. And the next day, I enrolled in fashion school, in FIP.
We know that being in the fashion industry for more than 25 years is not easy. In the next part of our interview, we will learn about Francis Libiran's business journey. What were his hardships and how did he overcome these challenges? Keep it here on Pathways to Success. Welcome back to Pathways to Success. We are still with fashion designer Francis Libiran. Now, Francis, you are an architect, a fashion designer, and a very successful businessman. How did you learn to do business?
As early as 8 years old, my dad's family, the Libiran side, is all in business. So growing up, I see my dad really hustling in putting up his business, and I see it in my aunts and my grandmas. They're all doing the business side of things. So I guess that opened my eyes in doing business. At an early age, my dad taught me how to invest. Like whatever you do if you invest a 1 peso, it should return like 3 pesos. So that stuck in my head.
Well, yes, the accounting side you all learned from everyone in your family?
Yes, but you know what? In putting up my business, I have a business partner. His name is R.C. Baltazar. I mean, I'm more on the creative side. He's on the business side. But again, when we collaborate things, we always sit down, and how we run our business is very like a partnership. You know, I think as a designer, it's really important to have a team and a business, a business mind beside you, because that's the fuel of what I'm doing.
Well, how did you grow from your first atelier with 8 employees to your present store, your biggest so far, the flagship store in Shangri-La Plaza with about 100 employees? What are the secrets in sustaining a business in fashion?
When we were starting the business, of course, my funds were so limited that time. Whatever I worked for 2 years is what I have. So I asked my grandma if I could use her space in Quezon City. That was our first office, our first atelier. I remember one time just hiring one cutter and sewer, and it just grew and grew until before pandemic it was around 300 employees. But during the pandemic, we need to cut down and be wise on how we will survive the business, you know. And I think it's more of like observing the landscape of your industry. That's very important when you're doing business.
Well, also with the competition.
Yes,
right?
a competition will always be there, but you just need to know how to maneuver your strategy on how you will be relevant. You know, nowadays, I'm in my 25th year. Of course, there's a lot of younger designers, more fresh ideas. But how do you keep your name, the brand, always there visible?
Well, yes, 25 years in the fashion industry is no easy feat. How would you describe your journey to success?
Journey to success is it's very challenging at first. But every day that I work, I put in my heart and I show it to my team, the dedication of what I'm doing. You know, it's always nice to plan ahead. It's always nice to strategy when things go wrong. And it's always good to see the brighter side of things.
Well, we know that every business is different. But if you were to give our viewers your top 3 business learnings in your 25 years, what would they be?
Number 1, never give up. There will be times in your business that ups and down, and not every business would always, be on the right path. Just never give up on what you're doing and believe in your goal. Number 2 is innovate. Always innovate your craft. With social media right now, you could see all the challenges and it's moving at a fast pace. You need to innovate what you're doing. And lastly is love what you're doing.
Yeah,
You know?
very important.
I guess that's the best secret that I can share. You wake up and you must love what you're doing.
The passion really comes from there, right?
Yes.
The love for what you're doing. Also, I'd like to talk about you, since you're an architect, you mentioned that most of your inspiration come from architectural designs.
So I guess the training of being an architect, I'm so fascinated with lines. Every time I create something, it starts with a single line. So that for me, every time I do some a collection and you know, for some big event, my design process is I would really lock myself in a quiet room, prepare my paper, sharpen my pencil, and I would smell my pencil first before sketching. That for me is very meditative for me. It's like a ritual.
Yeah.
Every time I create something.
I can already imagine you doing that. Alone in a room. Is there incense or is there, you know, aromatherapy?
Sometimes I need to book myself outside the city just to be alone because I don't want to be accessible by my employees.
Yeah,
I need that quiet time.
Yeah.
That
No
creative
disruption whatsoever, and then you get your pencil and smell
Yeah.
it. Okay, that's a vivid picture you've painted for us on how the Francis Libiran sits down and creates.
Yeah.
Those in the fashion business, I hope you were taking down notes. We are all learning a lot from this interview. When we come back, let's find out the future plans of Francis Libiran. Welcome back to Pathways to Success. We are on the last segment of our interview with Francis Libiran. So Francis, earlier we talked about your work in the last 25 years. Now let's talk about your 2024 Bridal Collection. Tell us about how your designs evolved over the years.
Over the years, I study the market all the time. It's the trends and what our client needs. This collection for my bridal collection, which can be seen in our Shangri-La flagship store, composed of different styles and silhouettes. You know, brides nowadays, they want to be very practical. They want their gowns to be very lightweight, so that it's easy for them to socialize. And number 2, they want something that's practical, so that we have different price ranges for our bride's budget. You know, it's just this collection is all about being practical in doing your wedding gowns.
You said something about, yes, practicality. I didn't realize they wanted lighter gowns nowadays. And did they also request for, you know, like removable stuff? Like, for example, at first in their grand entrance, they have, you know,
something,
appliques and wider or bigger sleeves, and then they can take it off later in the reception, something like that.
They're very practical in such a way wherein they don't want anymore the gowns that are so big that it's so hard for them to move around. Plus the storage after the wedding. So we need to consider that one. So they want something that's, they could be able to pack it and store it in their closets, you know. And you mentioned about they want a different look. Sometimes before brides would change into a reception gown, Now they want something that's detachable, either a
Yes.
skirt or a sleeves, because they don't want to change in between. They just want something that's very practical, removable, and easy to wear so that they could party after the ceremony.
That's part of like modernizing the design and your
innovating it,
innovation.
yeah.
Yes. So weddings are still the core of your business. What do you love most about weddings? And yes, you talked about what brides like nowadays, but I know you're a romantic at heart. So what do you love about weddings?
I love, you know, in every first meeting of my brides, I would always ask them their love story, because it will help me out in doing my designs for them. I get to talk to them for a few minutes before I design or sketch something for them. While they're talking, while they're telling me their love stories, my creative brain is already running on how I do my designs for them. So for me, it's very...
It's personal.
it's
as
very
well.
personal, yeah, when I design something for a particular person.
And I think all brides would appreciate that, a personal touch, right? So what is your direction now in terms of growth opportunities? I've read something about your dream expansion. Tell us about that.
Well, me and my business partner, RC Baltazar, of course, we're in 25 years in the business. What's next for us? So we're trying to be more on the retail side of what we're doing. So we create collections for like 3 times every year, so that we wanted to concentrate on the retail market, not just clothes. We might venture into bags, accessories, colognes, and soon beauty line,
Wow,
makeup,
interesting.
you know, something that they could put on their face
Yeah.
to feel beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's the direction of the business right now.
A lot more of Francis Libiran, also in cosmetics.
Yes,
You
and
mentioned.
I guess I have a good business partner, and he's very particular about branding. So the brand itself will make it look fresh, you know, as we stay in the business for a long time.
Yes, and also you mentioned going into retail. Does it mean more ready-to-wear
Yes,
stuff?
more ready to wear, more accessible actually for people to just buy if they have a special event.
And the name is there, Francis Libiran. When they ask, who are you wearing? You can say, I'm wearing Francis Libiran, yeah. So what is in the future for you? We talked about your dream expansion and the many more branches of your business that you want to go into. So tell us more, what else is there to look forward to from Francis Libiran?
Being a creative person, I guess, there will be a lot of things. Knowing myself, I won't stop on you know, those things. Let's see in the future what will happen next, because definitely me and my business partner will always be on board, because we're very into researching what the market feels like.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure you have inspired a lot of passionate designers and entrepreneurs in this episode. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much.